Richard Iloma, the secretary of the chapel. The rest for leadership. You can see that all your friend. American is there, this Nigerian musical. We have Mike Abba of the business day. Managing tax has a lot to do with business. We have Clement James, the new telegraph. We have Mingu Dwak of NTA. We have Okorobia, that was the pioneer.
I have the privilege to introduce still our dear indefatigable chairman, His Lordship, Dr. Gospel, the man Isong, and tax agency. Here, on my right is Apostle Dr. William Emmah. He is the legal person, a legal advisor. He is in charge of legal issues for anti-tax agency. And we have Pastor John, member, honorable member, Reverend Sister Patricia, who is also honorable member, is on our way. We go to the there. And I am Reverend Father Dr. Julius Ayade. Thank you. The Secretary of State.
Just running in from giving exams to postgraduate students, and he's going to run back soon, I'm sure. So if you see him, if this lasts too long, if you see him exit, don't blame him, he's not walking out of his chairman. I want to personally welcome all our representatives. They cannot all come because this is an impromptu press briefing. All the local government reps of the Cross-National Anti-Tax Agency, all the brigades who are here providing cover. Let me especially welcome Senior Police Officer Concord to this meeting, representing the police force. Thank you. Assistant Commissioner of Police, Neman Ramsa. Most welcome. Thank you. Our 1 year anniversary re-echo and reaffirm that Governor Professor Sir Barrister Digital Governor Ben Ayade's tax exemption policies has not been abated, has not waned, never waned, never abated. And drivers of this policy, in my person as chairman and flanked by my able members and legal advisor, we are not tired, we are not exhausted, we are not fatigued, we are not intimidated by political colonists, and we are not frightened by agents of tax shelters and companies who continue to extort the people. I want to say that even though we have not quite achieved 100% in our 1 year, few months, but you should know that at least by some reasonable percentage, I would suspect 30%, we have reduced incessant, illicit, illegal, and multiple taxation across the length and breadth of the 18 local government areas of Cross River State. We have advertised and raised the banner of the humanist governor, the compassionate governor, Ben Ayade. You quite remember on 20th May 2020, His Excellency openly complained and wept openly. I would not like to the economical words. He wept openly over the continuous oppression of poor persons in the population. And you should know that, to me, without gainsaying, that was the governor's one of the best, most popular policy to the people of Cross River State. And you know, it's enjoyed by non-indigents, indigents, and in fact, it's even enjoyed by mostly non-indigents. than indigenous, because this state is filled with visitors from Akwa Ibom, from Igbo land, from Yoruba land, from Hausa land. So it is the most people-friendly policy. The tax policy is the most people-friendly policy. And of course, remember, we talk about Asadate, Okada riders, Asadate, Keke Napep, taxi drivers, hair salonists, barbing salons, hawkers, street hawkers, produce traders, small hotels, which is lower than 1 star, small shops, eateries, restaurants, artisans, all these organizers, mechanics, low-income civil servants. We have also collaborated with the Board of Internal Revenue to give meaning to some relative words. Because when we say small business, some people were using the Cross-River Anti-Tax Agency to evade legal taxation, to dodge from their legal responsibility. We have had this complaint from IRS, and we have entered into collaboration with IRS as to defining who is a small-scale businessman or woman, because the SMEs are the ones who are supposed to benefit from this economic, from this fiscal policy. I see it as a fiscal policy. And some people have asked, is it not going to affect the resources of the state? I said no, because the counterproductivity of illegality of taxation is that it sends capital flight. It drives away people from the much popular tourist-friendly Cross-River state. The state that was attracting investors from neighboring states had become abandoned. People fled the town. You know why? Because they could not stand the embarrassment and the muzzling of the ox that trade the corn. And so they had left the city. So our activities have added what I call ease of doing business, has attracted a more business-friendly environment. So thuggery and oppressive activities, when it is reduced, small-scale businesses are increased on the street, knowing that you will not be molested. So these are the reason for this press conference. I'd like for you to know we have not been intimidated, and I want you to know, and I want to use the medium and warn any council chairman or head of any MDA of government that they should desist from any form of nefarious and obnoxious means of making revenue for their MDAs. And we will not be bribed. We will not receive a kobo from anybody. Anybody who feels that he has offered Bishop Emmah some money, or my secretary or any member of the agency, should bring it up to the open. Because if we discover anybody bribing me or my member of agency, I will personally, in my capacity as a well-connected clergy, call in the EFCC. I've reported this matter to the EFCC and will pick up anybody, whether you are so highly placed or connected. This is now EFCC. This is not illegal taxes now. If you intend to bribe, directly or indirectly, or come for negotiation, or try to compromise the standard in which Governor Ayade has set for us, any such activity in private, in the open, I have set in motion with the EFCC and the law enforcement officers. Whoever will be arrested. Nobody is above the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It will be a form of corruption, and of course, you know, I'm a board co-chairman of very highly placed anti-corruption agencies. I sit in the board. I have enough connection to arrest any political officer who offers us money, who suggests, who try to permeate into our activity, who try to discuss, or even try to show by body language that we can compromise. We will not accept bribery. The government of Cross-River State has made enough provision for us, and we are satisfied with the budget, we are satisfied with our impress, we are satisfied with the support that Professor Ayade has given to us as an agency, and we will continue to work and cooperate with other government agencies to make sure that the economy of the state does not come down, but rather the atmosphere of the economy is made friendly for people to do business. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why we call you here. Help us to announce and speak on top of the rooftop. Jesus said, what I tell you in the secret, announce on the rooftop. We are not abated, we are not intimidated, and we will not be subjugated to any form of manipulation or any form of prejudice. We continue to do our work. We have able members and players and drivers of this agency. So thank you so much, and don't forget our hotline number remains the same, 070-2610-5177. For any case of illegality or multiplicity of taxation, report to the hotline and we shall take action. Thank you and welcome.
Anybody prosecuted? Not yet. We have constraints. We did the first arrests, and incidentally, the police have to keep them for so long because of the Tucson strike. By the time they waited in the police station, you know our laws do not permit suspects to stay there beyond a certain period of time. When it was running into months, they released them. But our effort to call them back for arraignment did not succeed because the police could not track them. Then that is not a credit for the prosecution team. But we have taken steps to remedy it. In fact, at the agency level, I discussed with my chairman and he assured us that with the help of the judiciary have given us 3 courts, special courts, with a view to arrest and arraigning without detention. So we are thinking, we are still working on it. It has a lot of technicalities because you have to have the court waiting, then you have to have the law enforcement standing back. So that as you pick them from the point of commission of offense, you don't have to go and put them through detention before you start giving them bail. We want, by the grace of God, very soon, the agency will come up with our program, arrest and arraign. Arrest, as you are arresting you, the courts are waiting so that they will just like what has been done. It's not a new, it's a special court. It's not a new thing. It's done over road safety do it, and other special agencies they do it. So by the grace of God, at the proper time, that will come up. But we know our big problem. That's for the boys on the street. What of those who are sending them on the street? I think that is where the big problem is. Please, this is a media chat. Let the stakeholders know that they have a right to fight those who are sponsoring those boys.
Please say it again.
Yes, because the market women there, they can come as a group. It's a group action. It does not even have to go through the agency. The lawyer can take those people to court for breach of fundamental rights. Sometimes they go into your shop, they carry your fridge, they carry your thing and go away. Under what law? What manner of tax enforcement is that? Please, let us speak to the stakeholders, the taxi drivers, those associations. We are there for them. We can sue the government, those structures behind them. If it's local government, we sue them. It is not a strange thing. It's a fundamental right action. Like when we saw somebody was beaten almost street naked.
Yes, it was naked.
And do you have to wait for the agency to fight that?
It's your right.
It's your right. It's a constitutional right. It's a personal breach of your personal right. So
public assault. And
then there is a law. Don't forget, there is a law. The law doesn't say don't pay tax. It says certain persons are exempted from that. We are still working at the agency. We are not there yet. Because we should be able to develop certifications. So that when you come, we show you. It's only those certifications. When you see somebody with certificate of exemption, then you still go to ask that same tax. Then that means you are confronting the law. But by the grace of God, we get there. I hope that can explain. Give us time, we are still working. We are not there yet.
Delve into even areas you didn't ask. He has given you more than enough area. But just before I answer that question, let me add to what the legal advisor said. Apart from arrest, arraignment, prosecution, we also have other ways of of dealing with the issue. We have alternative dispute resolution. You know, yesterday or so, the governor, 2 days ago, talked about mediation as a form of legislation. And you should know that modern, I did a course in Massachusetts University, Boston, on mediation, alternative dispute resolution. And it can be applied in any jurisdiction of law. So we also being primarily pastors, not that we don't have teeth to bite as per the law, we also, as a good father, hope to use one of our hands to draw these miscreants who have been used and done, sometimes used and done. Because after being an illegal tax collector, the next thing you become an armed robber, if you are not already one. Because it's really tedious job. So don't forget, apart from the usual orthodox legal form of arrest, arraignment, and prosecution, we also have alternative dispute resolution. And another third one, I told you there are 3 ways to handle it. Third one is alternative means of employment as amnesty. We are working on that with His Excellency the Governor of Cross State, whose passion is strongly on agriculture. You know, because if you get these boys, and there are so many, across the 18 local government areas, put them in prison, what you call the correction centers, we will still need to feed them and take care of them. We are suggesting a third platform, which is amnesty. Non-custodian centers, where they will be engaged in farming, community services, and they become useful to themselves, learn a trade, and used as a factor of production, positive factor of production. So please, when you are asking questions on anti-tax, know that it is for this purpose also we have come. Because there's no way the governor will put 4 clergymen, in fact 5 now, into an agency that only wants to use gun and machete and pursue people. So we also have this as spiritual fathers of that third platform. So we are working pari passu, all this working together to make the state a better place. I can guarantee you that if anti-tax does its job very well as we are doing, and we clear the street from these miscreants into productive activities, I can guarantee you that crime will reduce. Because I've said it before, anti-tax is, illegal taxation is connected to other social vices, including drug trafficking, including political thuggery, and including social violence and criminality. You know what I'm talking about. If you have tendency to hold somebody on the Calabar Road and tear his dress and fight openly with the guise of collecting money to your tax masters, then you also, by means of social connectivity and legal implication, you can also do something worse than that in the night. If you did that in the afternoon, I don't know if somebody's understanding. If you can do that in the afternoon, it's like 2 a.m. You can do something worse. So please imagine what we are saying. Kindly help us. We are not only doing social, we are not only doing media campaign, we are also doing solicitation. We are soliciting for all you in the media to please appeal to consciences of political lords. This agency could have just finished their work this morning if every political lord come to their consciences like the prodigal son and say, you know what, no more illegal tax. It will, in fact, the agency can even be, we can just be collecting, doing prayer for the state. If this political lord said, it's over, we are tired, we no more want to become source of oppression to the people, it will just be over for us, and the job will be well done. So who makes the job difficult for us are the paymasters. Thank you.
I now ask a question. What is the place of anti-tax in the face of all this illegal and collected mostly by government, state government agencies? So
Who asked the question?
The Commissioner for Agriculture.
I will answer the question.
Now, these government agencies are also frustrating the same policy of government. So what then how do you handle it?
That's a very good question. My message, I don't need to do this forwarding to you, inviting you. I said, due to recent observations and information on the continuous operations of certain recalcitrant tax consultants purportedly representing local government councils or MDAs of government, it has become mandatory for the Cross River State Anti-Tax Agency in collaboration with enforcement services to issue a warning and alert unsuspecting public that the popular tax exemption policy of Senator Professor Saben Ayade is still in force and remains unabated despite political propaganda and mischievous manipulation. This is a statement I use as my premise and reason for inviting us for this press briefing. And funny enough, the reason for the press briefing indirectly answers the question of the gentleman that asked, what if, like they say in Efik, I will interpret, Eboro 2, at Eboro 2. You know the meaning? I will interpret because of Okonkwo and Judas. Judas is now Calabar speaking. It is the goats of Mr. 2 that eat the yam of Mr. 2. How do you handle the case? Did you hear me? Yes. In the court where Mr. 2 is the judge, it is realized that the goat of Mr. 2 ate the yam of Mr. 2. So do I still come down? No. So it is merely policy somersault. Yeah. When elements within the government are perpetuators of the very policy of His Excellency, who is the head of the party or the ruling party, whatever.
Very frustrating.
It is frustrating. It is policy somersault. It's insolence to the personality of the governor himself. In fact, I have proposed this on one of my media briefings. The Cross River State Anti-Tax Agency, I'm not afraid of anybody. You look at my face, I don't fear nobody. The Cross River State Anti-Tax Agency is going to profile politicians, especially local government chairmen and commissioners, who are contradicting government policy on illegal taxation, and we will publish their name for next election and appointment. Nobody in Cross River State is qualified. If you like, do empowerment every week. Give motorcycle to the boys and empower your court boys with guns. We will never allow any chairman of local government or so-called commissioners who are beneficiaries of these illicit monies to come out again. So if they are going to continue this, they better be eating the money very well. Because myself and this agency will publish their names to the electorates. Their parties can nominate them, but they must fail elections from local government level because they are enemies of the people, both from the market level to the street and to the highways, the cranes and crannies and nooks and corners. They are the enemies of democracy. So we must speak up. Yes, we may not be able to, because somebody even sent a message to me that we can use army. I may decide not to use army. I may decide to use political weapon. I will profile the names of politicians who are constantly recalcitrant to His Excellency's policy and give the electorate option of rejecting or accepting such human beings into a democratic fabric. How about that? That doesn't look like gun. That doesn't look like judiciary system. That looks like my little contribution. The little I can contribute at the end of this office, I will publish their names. Write this down and ask me in 2 years' time. I will publish their names. If they continue in these activities, I'll profile them and doing my investigation. My research people are working. We are getting their names. Of course, when we arrest some of these boys, we interview them. They mention their names. Those are my evidences. Those are my evidences. So I'm not going to be mentioning people's name because I don't like your suits. I mention your name because in your, and I've told people, I said, how do you know that a particular local government chairman is part of the system. When the activities of butterflies and fly and house flies are concentrated in a certain place, there is a dead meat there. When you see flies over concentrating in a certain place, nobody should tell you that the place, there's a dead meat in that place. There's something there. So if I'm chairman of XYZ local government and my streets are filled with boys holding uniform, carrying ID card and putting nails and attacking people, you don't need a rocket scientist. You know, the problem with anti-tax in cross-river state is that the citizens should stop blaming anti-tax agency. And like one of us here said, cooperate with us and fight the menace. Because 4 of us, 5 of us, we can't fight the menace. We are not strong enough. We need the public to take up. We need to change the narrative. Somebody's coming to embarrass you, say, where is this anti-tax and what is their job? For instance, if the commissioner for agri said, where is the anti-tax, he should also know that we will arrest some of those boys collecting the produce taxes on the road and trace them to a certain commissioner's office. We will arrest them. And when we start investigating them, we will trace them to a certain commissioner's office. Then you will now know that there is no smoke without fire.
My question is, many times what we see on the road is dehumanizing.
Yeah.
We are shocked that this can still happen.
In this 21st century.
That's correct. I understand that you have just 5 members in the anti-tax agency. Can we re-strategize probably? Can we have more people join the anti-tax agency? Because we have a lot of these illegal tax collectors on the road and in every street perhaps.
That's true.
And then we have just 5 anti-tax agencies.
I will explain that structure.
How do you intend to work around this so that we do not have these people get harassed before we have the corrective measures meted out? But we have preventive measures and the ways we can prevent them from experiencing all of this just in the name of tax. Thank you very much.
She has just asked based on her personal observation. And I'm sure she's not the only one who had that experience. 1 or 2 of us have, in the grapevine, had discussions or undertook some interactions. Not so, but let me start with the last part of your question. The anti-tax by appointment is just 4 members for now. We don't need to increase membership to increase effectiveness, because the anti-tax also have a legal advisor who is number 5 now. We have accountants and other members of staff. We have supporting. Yes, when we now have local government representative. If you have opportunity, I think Peter, you have published these numbers online. You will see those numbers. It's online. It's found in some of your social media. So each of the 18 local government areas have hotline of their own. Okay, then for also we have the brigades. We have uniform. Can you come close inside so they can see? Okay, after you go back to your post. This is our official brigade. The uniform is sewn by the Cross-River State Garment Factory. Can you clap for that? So it's designed by the Cross-River, approved by the former Commissioner of Police and the Director of what is Dr. Boto's post, SS Security, Dr. Alfred Boto, and the Chief Security Advisor to the state is aware. So it's a registered club. They are also members of the paramilitary association in the state. So we are not illegal. So this is the enforcement department of Cross-River State anti-tax. We have young men like this, empowered by Governor Ben Ayade, and the governor, of course, has asked us to increase their number. Thank you. Back to you. So they are constantly, you see their vehicles there. They are constantly with some marked and unmarked vehicles parading around town. It's just that it's not the day police patrol an area that armed robbers will strike. That's why we depend mostly on the call to the hotline. Why there's a high combination on the hotline is because it is only through you calling the hotline that we have to know these nefarious activities. So like our sister said, as soon as you call the hotline, there are mechanisms in place. In fact, most time within 5 minutes. If you call the hotline, within 5 minutes you get response. First thing you get, we'll call you back and get more details of your address. Next thing you get, within 10-15 minutes, even within the metropolis, we will get the police are helping us, and the civil defense and army sometimes. I was having discussion with army, they are helping us. We will be at the venue and get to find out who the oppressors are. Properties are recovered, your shop is guaranteed. People have thanked us. We have it on video. It's been advertised online and on TV. So that's why she's commending that. Now what we're asking is how to extend the network and the drag net to make sure we are sufficiently organized. That is really expensive, and we appeal to government to increase our impress, our budget, because for us to function like that, we have to not just be an agency of few people, like you said, we have to be an agency of not less than 500 brigades. If you take the 18 local government, not less than 500 brigades, if you multiply that by the minimum wage, you will see what we have limitation. And then the representatives supposed to be like in boards. Each representative is supposed to have their own vehicles that can also respond sufficiently in similar way at different local government. Right now, those representatives don't have those vehicles. Local government chairman promised us offices for this representative. Not one local government has kept that promise, because yes, they are not even comfortable with us. In fact, most of them that promised the offices have driven away these people when they go there to ask for the office. Because it's like spying them through the window. It's like operating in a glass house. So we have these challenges of, first of all, political will by our, how do I put it? So His Excellency is very comfortable with this policy, by political gladiators. So we need that to be broken first. We need, in fact, what we are fighting now is philosophical revival, not even the criminal aspect. Criminal aspect is very easy. In 3 days can be defeated. That philosophical, that sociological intricacies of even convincing an appointee. The mindset, changing the mindset. Okay, let me give you this expo. A young way before a local government chairman comes into power, he has what is called revenue points, which he gives it to his not only boys, his fathers. I want to say fathers in the Lord. I forgot his not church. Godfathers, thank you for that English. I'm a pastor. I was about to say fathers in the Lord. I forgot. So, which he gives to his godfathers, and these revenue points are where you are seeing activities of illegal taxation. Is this thing clear now? Those are jobs for the boys, like the barrister said. So we need to first bring ourselves to the round table. Are you aware that when this agency started, some politicians already sent me text messages that you will not succeed? It will not work. I have had, and I will not mention them, I've had 12 politicians visit me at night and ask me to back down. I have evidences. And I hope you know my wife is a legal person. So I'm advised what not to talk or what to talk. Yeah. I say 12 visiting me, asking me to back down. And I said no. I have had also offers of revenue. Will you take this 1, 2, 3 place care of? I said no. Are you also aware that during the what do they call this? NSAS, I know where I was one of the victims. Yes. I was heavily attacked. Yes. My case is with the executive governor of the state. So we're not talking trash here. We're not talking bread and butter here. So when you say Bishop Emmah has not fought, if I have not fought illegal taxation, will I be attacked? Nobody will attack me. Rather, they will buy me more sugar and bonvita. I have many friends who were local government chairmen who don't pick my calls again. I've lost friends. Because my friendship with them is like the cat and the mouse going for a conference together. So in which angle is somebody going to blame the anti-tax agency? I've refused offers. I've rejected inducements. I've been attacked under circumstances. Government has investigated the attack on me. They have discovered those who were behind the attacks. And they are not masquerades. So what are you talking about? So we are here to implore the media, be our partner. You are the fourth estate of the realm. Be our partner and speak against illegal taxation. It's affecting your mother and my mother. It's affecting your brother and sister. I'll give you an example. One of the boys who was on Ikai Kaukwa, is that what we call it? Who owned a shop. He's a graduate, but he could not find a job after his service. So he's selling credit card. How do you call that? It's a recharge cards. He was pounced on, embarrassed, beaten. He called us. I personally almost drove there. Thank God my brigades were on ground with the police, and they went. And this boy was crying. He said, I can't go into crime. I want to sell recharge card and make money. And ladies and gentlemen, you and I know that recharge card is even lower than the people that the governor is giving exemption. Recharge card, how much is it going to make? Do you know how much you make in social bundle? And this is a 28-year-old boy, a cross-bearer. He is not yet married. He's looking for money to survive. We should preach against illegal taxation. See, I have told cross-bearers, reject this empowerment politicians bring. All this motorcycle and rapper should be rejected. Of course, 2023 is coming. I will be the most outspoken person in this state. Because you will put your poster and I will come there and say, anti-tax censor. Yes. I will do it. I promise you. Please remind me. I will use my stamp on posters, anti-tax censor, and cross-bearers will now know that no, you have option to still vote him to come and collect your money and come and do empowerment of motorcycles, empowerment of sewing machine and rapper. Politicians should stop collecting money from the poor and going back to the poor with peanuts to do empowerment.
To synergize with your agency to ensure that you achieve the set objectives in the time limit. Thank you so much.